biggest bad guy character in professional wrestling.
When's the last time you got laid?
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Hey, we can see that you don't have pants on.
Can we tell the truth about Dusty sooner or later?
Bro, less people wanted that than are currently watching our stream.
And you know Vince, and you still think, are these true? It's like...
Welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Asanti, back here once again to review tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. And this was not just any old episode, but it was the go-home show for Forbidden Door. We finally have reached the culmination of all of this build-up between AEW and New Japan and kind of sort of CMLL as we head to the pay-per-view on Sunday. But we started the show with an AEW guy, an AEW original in MJF, who came out, and before he can even get barely 2 sentences out of his mouth, he was interrupted by the hometown kid in Daniel Garcia. Garcia came down, and he initially starts off by thanking MJF for saving him last week, but he follows it up with MJF got involved in his business, and since they are in his hometown of Buffalo, everything is now his business. Garcia then reveals he's actually out there to say nice things about MJF, something no one has ever really done before outside of that weasel Adam Cole. Garcia says that while MJF was becoming the longest reigning AEW champion, Garcia wasn't really doing too much. I think at the time he was in the Jericho Appreciation Society. He was kind of just a young boy / lackey for Jericho. And it was then that Max went up to him in the back and said he could be more than just a lackey and be a pillar of AEW just like him. Garcia eventually got enough wins to work his way all the way up to challenging MJF for the championship. And even though the loss was one of the most embarrassing moments of his career, it then led to the greatest run of his career. And it was that run that made him realize he doesn't just have to settle for being a pillar. He could be the backbone, the workhorse, even the foundation that AEW is built upon. Garcia, after saying all of these nice things, then notes that MJF better not talk shit lest he look two-faced and have the entire city of Buffalo come at his head. MJF's like, me? Two-faced, please. Come on.
Maybe a little.
A little. And MJF actually denies wanting to talk shit about Garcia or the city of Buffalo, saying he came out to do 2 things. One was to shill, which he expertly did. And 2, the other reason was actually to call Garcia down to the ring before he made his way down on his own. He then thanks Garcia for finally shining a light on the nice things he does for people in the back. But then says that's not why he wanted to bring Garcia out. He says initially back in the day, he didn't give Garcia a title shot because Garcia was somebody who knew somebody in the back or a second or third or generation wrestler. He gave it to him because Garcia had earned it. MJF says he sees a lot of Garcia or himself in Garcia. They're 2, smaller, cocky, confident guys from New York who have to get up every day and look in the mirror and really psych themselves up to bust their ass every day because they have to. And while Max might have whipped Garcia's ass the first time Garcia earned a shot, he has worked his way back up rung by rung, not only grinding through everything, but becoming the grind itself. So Max thinks that Garcia has earned himself another shot at the King. And he offers Garcia a match one-on-one at All In. Garcia is incredibly excited by this. So is his mother, who was in the front row. But before Garcia can make his answer, he is interrupted by the music of the international champion, Will Ospreay. Ospreay comes down and he says that he's both appreciates the way Garcia has been grinding through everything and everybody in order to come after his international championship. And he also appreciates the way that Garcia has been allowing Ospreay to handle his business at Forbidden Door, with Garcia just, going out and earning his matches instead of interfering with anything Ospreay has to do with Swerve. So, out of appreciation for both of those things, Will offers him a shot not only at the International Championship next week, but the AEW World Championship, as Will just assumes he's going to win. Garcia quickly accepts that challenge, and he and Ospreay shake hands, and then Ospreay goes to the back. Danny then turns to a visibly frustrated MJF, who has been standing in the corner the entire time, and you could tell he is just pissed off because he got upstaged by Will Ospreay. Garcia goes to answer MJF's challenge for a match at All In, but MJF's like, look, Danny, that is a huge opportunity for you. You should just focus on that, and you can answer me another time. And then MJF kind of leaves in a huff, leaving Garcia in the ring to dance in front of his home crowd. So, James, a lot happened here. First of all, we are establishing Garcia more and more as someone who's a bigger player now in AEW. We see the nicer side of MJF, which is pretty cool. But we also see that he can still be a little insecure and very frustrated when somebody comes and upstages him. We then also got the possibility of 2 major matches. One, which will be happening, which is Garcia versus Ospreay next week for at least the AEW International Championship. Maybe the AEW World Championship. And then the possibility of Daniel Garcia versus MJF at All In, which personally I don't think we'll get, but we'll get to that in a second. So what were your thoughts on all of the stuff that happened in the opening segment?
Let's start with the main man himself, MJF. I thought Max played his part beautifully. I want to get to the comments and how they feel about face MJF right now. But I think we need face MJF right now. I think we need him to be a face right now. He just came back. We're trying to care about him again. Not that we ever stopped caring about him, but we need that face MJF just for a moment, especially going into something like Forbidden Door, where the stakes for AEW storytelling, for the most part, aren't the highest priority. So I thought MJF did very well. I think Daniel Garcia really showcased how far he's come. That if this same kid tried to cut this same promo a year and a half ago, I don't think it would have come across as well. I think he's developed so well, so much in such a short time. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I know we were all disappointed he didn't join the Blackpool Combat Club, and the Bryan Danielson story didn't go the way we wanted it to. But quite frankly, the time he spent with Jericho has helped make him a better character worker. So I think he did a great job. I think Max played into it beautifully. And Ospreay, kind of the smug asshole a little bit, coming in and stealing the thunder. Just a little bit.
Yeah, serious one-upper there.
And I'm all for it. To go to the comments real quick. First off, hey Chrome, hey Navarro, how you guys doing? Thank you for being here. Chrome saying he didn't like the segment, or that whole segment. Felt to him a little WWE-ish. He needs heel MJF, not this friendly Cody Rhodes version of him. Chrome isn't feeling it, and he thinks he might turn on Ospreay at Forbidden Door. Navarro agreeing that MJF is what is needed, and that he's bored of face MJF. And Chrome saying it's either MJF versus Ospreay at All In, or triple threat MJF versus Ospreay versus Garcia. I like Garcia. That was the one unbelievable thing about this segment to me. MJF, babyface or not, he is not going to go to the WrestleMania of All In challenging Daniel Garcia and nothing more. So I love Garcia, but I don't think he fits into that matchup.
I agree.
But to go back into the face heel dynamic of who MJF is, guys, MJF is still MJF. His number one priority is him. Yeah, he went into the stuff with Daniel Garcia, but realistically, Garcia knew to come out and praise the king. He bent the knee. He came out complimenting and lauding him with praise. Nothing gets to MJF better than stroking his ego. So I don't think we have to worry too much about clean-cut, cookie-cutter MJF. I don't think that's what we're getting. I don't think that's what this is. And heel or face, I think we're going to see that edge to MJF really soon. And it might have to go against the Hidden Blade.
Yeah, and I agree with that. When MJF came back, and I think I've said this a few times since he's returned, that when he came back, he's like, you're not getting the happy-go-lucky double clothesline kangaroo kick MJF you were getting before I left. He's being a nice guy, and, you make a return like this, you got to come back face. That's, the rule. Almost anybody who comes back heel kind of flounders the first couple of months.
Seth Rollins, when he came back years ago.
Yep.
He's my prime example for this.
So it always is for me as well. So right now, MJF is still playing the good guy, but I do think that Chrome is onto something where I think this is planting the first seed for Ospreay versus MJF at All In. Because, Garcia is there, and I think he'll just end up being more of a catalyst. And we'll probably end up seeing MJF versus Garcia at some point. But I think that MJF is going to get frustrated with Will probably, continuing to either one-up him or interrupt him like this and just take away spotlight that we all know MJF so desperately wants and needs. So I do think that we do eventually get, even if it's not a full-blown heel MJF, we are definitely going to get the MJF who eventually snaps on Will and goes after him because Will is, to his, in his eyes, being a dick, which he kind of was. Will could have picked any other time to do that. He picked that time on purpose. So I do think that's what we're going to get, and we'll go from there. For now, though, MJF is being the face because he just has to be for these first 2 weeks.
I just want to say one quick thing about the comments real quick. Chrome asking and then Navarro responding. Chrome saying, we're saying Wyatt 6 is going to fumble, and Navarro saying Wyatt 6 is not going to fumble. I agree. It's not going to fumble, but I will say I hate the name so much.
Yeah. But Chrome, we're not saying that they're going to fumble because that's a debut. That's different. You can debut as a heel. This is a return for a much beloved character who had left and gone away for a while. And it's hard when you return, after being away for so long. Even if you were a heel when you left, if people like you, and you were brewing you just a storyline, not because they fucking they hate you, but if people like you and you return, they want to cheer that you're back. I mean, shit, John Cena was getting booed to the ever-living hell when he got hurt. And everyone seriously forgot how much they hated him when he returned at the Royal Rumble, that they cheered him. They quickly realized what they were doing, but they were still so...
It was the best day for little James, who was just so happy. Everyone was excited he was back. It lasted 5 seconds, but I was really happy.
Yeah, but they were all just so happy to see him in the moment. And the fact that it was such a huge surprise that he had come back so quickly, that people still cheered him. So when you come back, you should be face. When you debut, you can be heel or face. So I think that's the difference between this instance and the Wyatt 6. But
do you want to answer Chrome's question before we move on, or no?
Go
off of Dynamite real quick.
Yeah, all right. So that's okay because I don't get to cover a lot of Raw. But Chrome asked us a question about the Wyatt 6 again. How did you feel that about that Uncle Howdy therapy session? I feel like they're making it too personal. I think they could regret this in the future. I don't know. I thought that they did a good job of addressing some of the issues that people might have with this, because there were things where Howdy was asking Bo, like, do you think you're trafficking on your brother's legacy and his memory, and certain other things that I think people had questions with. So I thought making it personal was good. Obviously, it's only their second segment. In the first one, any of them have spoken. So there's a whole lot of I don't know yet. But I thought that segment in and of itself was very, very good. It was very well done. And the reveal at the end that they were in the Firefly Funhouse was pretty cool as well.
And just briefly, I'll say I have faith in this group. I have faith in this story. And I more or less have faith in their booking. I'm not going to go as far as Navarro, who said that Triple H hasn't fumbled yet. I think he's fumbled a couple of times. I just don't think any of his fumbles have been massive. But I think I'm glad they got out of the way of it. Like they went right into it right out the gate, that this is going to be a very personal story for Bo, because this is the story that his deceased brother was cooking up. And now it's his legacy that he's carrying. I don't mind them getting into the personal stuff now. I don't mind them tackling the heavier stuff now. That way it's not something that people are questioning later. Maybe it was too personal. You can maybe say that. But for something as personal as what this character and this gimmick is going to be, I don't mind it. But that said, I do think we should cover Dynamite. And let's go back to AEW tonight.
Yeah, I'll just close by saying this is so personal that there's no way that Bo isn't going to put a lot of himself into this just because of the circumstances. Will he live to regret that later? I don't know. I think that might depend on how everything is used. But, you know, he's an artist, much like his brother was, and there's going to be a lot of himself put into this character.
Absolutely.
Or both of them, and this group as a whole. But I guess just to get back into the MJF stuff, I'm excited to see that match next week. I'm excited to see MJF versus Will Ospreay and how that continues to play out. And I'm glad Garcia's getting this bump lately. I think he's earned it. He's still very young. I just checked; he's only 25, which is crazy.
Garcia.
So I mean, he was born in what 99.
That's not. It's just gonna make me feel old, and it's just.
I know. I'm already heard all this rain, but I'm glad to see that he has found the lane in AEW, and hopefully he's able to once again use this push to capitalize and get another jumping off point and continue his career and his upwards trajectory. Let's keep things rolling, as after MJF went to the back and Garcia was dancing every hell of the time, we went to the back where Swerve Strickland was watching all the proceedings with Prince Nana. Swerve started off by laughing off the fact that Ospreay is offering up AEW World Championship shots before he even wins the title, saying Will is putting the cart before the horse. Swerve then reminds Ospreay that he can't carry the weight of both worlds on his shoulders, saying that he better be ready and focus up for their match tonight because it's not smart for a champion to be distracted the way he seems to be. And it's kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of funny because, A, that's been Drew's whole thing, or at least it was with Seth. And B, it was kind of to an extent what happened with MJF, where he was getting pulled in so many different directions that he did get a little distracted, and it probably did end up costing him in the end. So, interesting quote there from Swerve. After that, we moved on to our first match of the evening, which saw the Blackpool Combat Club face off against Los Ingobernables de Japón. I think I still have my Spanish on that, right? Anyway, they were made up of Shingo Takagi, Titan, and Hiromu Takahashi. And then we also had Bryan Danielson over on commentary. I'm going to jump straight to the end of this match because it ended so abruptly. I wasn't keeping track of what was really going on. So it was Takahashi and Yuta Wheeler were the legal men, or Wheeler Yuta, excuse me, and Luxtesia. And Takahashi ended up hitting Yuta with a Death Valley driver that Yuta kicked out of. Takahashi then set up Yuta for what I can only assume to be his finisher, but no, it looked like he was almost setting up for a crossroads, essentially. And I don't really know what it was because before Excalibur could call it, Moxley slid into the ring with a chair and just absolutely destroyed Takahashi's back, causing a disqualification, the rare disqualification. Although it seems like we've gotten a few more recently.
Yeah. We keep saying rare, but it's been happening more and more.
And I feel like a lot of them tend to be with the BCC, and especially Mox. The BCC and LIJ then get into a huge brawl and eventually kind of separates out where the three members of LIJ are fighting Claudio and Yuta, and Mox then gets distracted by the music of Tetsuya Naito. I think I got that right. It's one of those things where I know all these guys' last names and I never hear the pronunciation.
You did pretty well. Tetsuya,
thank you. Naito takes a leisurely stroll through the tunnel, and I mean leisurely stroll.
Challenging Jeff Hardy for the worst save ever, but it was good.
It wasn't even really a save. It was just I'm going to fuck with Moxley, kind of. And he comes out, he reaches the top of the ramp, he slowly starts taking off his suit, and Mox just eventually goes, fuck this, rolls out of the ring and meets Naito on the ramp, and they fight into the back. As they fight into the back, we then go back in front of the announce desk where we see Takahashi fighting Wheeler Yuta, and Wheeler had just taken a chair shot himself. Takahashi then rolled Wheeler into the ring and began delivering hammer and anvil elbows.
That was
while
Shingo.
Brian,
That was Shingo.
Oh, Takagi, my bad. What did I put Takahashi? Anyway, yes, because Takagi is facing Brian, right? Yeah. So anyway, Takagi is laying in the hammer and anvil elbows, and Brian on commentary mentions the fact that he has been really concerned with Yuta's head since his concussion, and eventually Brian has seen enough. He rolls into the ring, and the two men, after Brian pulls Takagi off, the two men stare each other down, and eventually we go to commercial with Takagi gesturing that he's going to break Brian in half. So for me, James, yeah, sure, we got the set up to Naito and Moxley and Takagi and Brian, but this was a match that seemed like it was just really starting to get like kicking into the next gear, and it ended with a chair shot, and we never really got to see what it really could have truly been.
No, I agree. The finish ruined the match for me, and I don't want to be like too dramatic about it because I think Takagi really showed off very well in the match. I think Claudio looked like a beast in the match, and it is great to see Wheeler back. But that finish just felt so lazy and so cheap. I understand that the BCC are essentially tweeners. They are what they need to be depending on the feud and depending on who they're wrestling. I get that. But it's just not even consistent with their characters. That's what bothers me so much. Moxley taking that chair to Takahashi to Hiromu was just such a bummer. Just such a bummer. And Chrome saying that he loved the finish because it felt he can't remember the last time there was a DQ finish. And you know what? That's fair. If you enjoyed it, I'm happy for you. I don't want to take that away from you. It's just Hiromu Takahashi is one of, if not the best junior heavyweight, period. I don't want to say all time, but definitely in the landscape today. He is a legendary cruiserweight. He's a legendary junior. And I feel like he was wasted in this match. I feel like we didn't get anything that we should have gotten out of him in this matchup. And I don't blame him. I blame the booking of the matchup. In general, the match was good with a crap finish to me. Sorry, Chrome. And the stare down at the end, I appreciated it. It felt a little off after everything else that had happened, that Brian is just staring him down after we're seeing chair shots and we're seeing a brawl go up the ramp. And Brian's thing is, I'm just going to stand here looking at you. Didn't feel genuine to me. There was something about this, how this was booked, that just didn't ring true to me. But I'm very much looking forward to Brian versus Shingo because that's going to be an incredible match. If you guys haven't seen their first matchup from like 12 years ago at this point, go check it out. It was when Brian got released from WWE for the necktie incident, and it was an incredible matchup. So I'd highly recommend go watching it there, so you could be prepared for what to expect this Sunday. But
where was that in? Was that in Ring of Honor or New Japan?
I don't.
Do you remember?
It might have been. It definitely wasn't New Japan. It might have been Ring of Honor, but it could have just been an indie too. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to go back and look at it. But go check out that matchup. And I don't know. BCC has 2 belts right now, and they just don't feel all that important to me. It's a bummer.
Yeah, that's fair. And granted, one of them is from another company. I don't even remember if Mox came in with the freaking IWGP.
He did.
Yeah, but it was just so. He's been really nonchalant about having it, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously, Wheeler's is in Ring of Honor, so I can understand why that kind of gets forgotten. But I thought Takahashi did a really good job tonight, and I thought so did Takagi. I thought Takagi did a great job of standing up to fucking Claudio the whole time. I thought they had some really good spots where they're trying to go power for power, which is why I was so excited for the build towards the end of the match to see how they brought it home. And it's why I agree with you. I did like the DQ. I get what it accomplished in terms of setting up the two matches for Sunday, maybe even a match for Friday or Saturday. I don't know. I would assume Saturday, if either. But
yeah,
or maybe even like a pre-show match on Sunday. But either way, like it's just I wanted to see how that fucking ended, and I feel like I got robbed of it. So
I agree.
Great job by all the guys in the beginning, from what we got. But damn, I would have liked to see how that ended because I really thought they could have built something special there. Now, really quick, James, before I do move on, is this a way they tend to end matches in New Japan? Because when I do like a regular show, not a pay-per-view, obviously, because anytime I tend to watch or see highlights of something, it's a pay-per-view, so they tend not to end this way. But
you don't typically get DQ finishes in New Japan. Like, it's not unheard of. It does happen, but it's they're not afraid to have people take losses there. They're not afraid for championship teams to have like I'm just throwing out in this instance, they would not have been afraid of Wheeler Yuta or Claudio taking the pin as long as Moxley didn't take the pin in the tag match,
Yeah.
or from their own team. They wouldn't have minded, I guess, if this was a New Japan guy versus a New Japan guy, Hiromu taking the pin or Shingo taking the pin in a certain situation. But I don't know. This was really weirdly booked. And I get you got to make everyone look strong going into the pay-per-view on Sunday, but there had to have been a better way to do it.
yeah, it felt like a bit of a cop-out just to protect everybody. But,
Yeah.
is what it is. Chrome, we'll get to Gabe Kidd in a bit. Also, Chrome mentioning that we're getting Mark Briscoe versus Kyle Fletcher at Ring of Honor, which I think is going to be really cool. And, yeah that should be fun. Anyway, we then went to another match coming back from commercial. This one being Switchblade Jay White against Ray Fenix in a quarterfinal match in the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament. I unfortunately missed a good chunk of this match because I got the pinwheel of death. It was right when the big storm started and the Mets and Yankees went in a rain delay. So I think that might have been part of it. I did catch before the match when the Bang Bang Gang and Alex Abrahantes and Pentel Sarmiento started to get into it with Alex grabbing a couple of chairs to try to even up the odds. And then Rick Knox threw everybody out. And a very smart move by Rick Knox for once.
He's competent when it's not the Young Bucks.
Yep. Well, obviously, because he's being paid off by the Young Bucks. And then right as the match got underway, Ray Fenix tried to steal one with the roll-up, but Switchblade was able to kick out of it. And we went on from there. I came back right around the very, very end of the match where there was a series of great counters from both men. It started with Fenix countering a Blade Runner, and then they were back and forth. They must have countered like 6 moves apiece before finally Jay was able to pull Fenix back in for the Blade Runner, and he ended up hitting that for the win. After the match, we had the Bang Bang Gang come back out to celebrate with Jay. And then this led to Christian Cage and the Patriarchy coming down. And they came to the edge of the ring, and there was a big stare down before Christian decided that was only the message he needed to send. And him and the Patriarchy went to the back. So, James, I am relying you a lot for this match. The highlights I saw on Twitter look sick. I am not surprised these two guys put on a banger of a match. It'd be hard for them not to, probably. And then I'm interested to see what's going on with Christian here because they mentioned on commentary he has said that he thinks the Patriarchy is the best trios team in AEW. He has called out both the House of Black, and now he has seemingly called out the Unified trios champions in the Bang Bang Gang. So a lot going on there.
The match was as strong and as good as you'd imagine. I want to argue with Chrome, but I don't know that I can. Chrome in the comments saying that Fenix is the best luchador currently. It's a hard fight. I don't know if there's anybody that can really take him out right now. At least not in the American side of lucha.
The Kingo maybe, but yeah, he's down in AAA.
And even now he's hurt. That's why we haven't seen him for so long. He's been hurt.
But
good point. I very much enjoyed this match. I love it. I've been saying it for a while that Jay White can hit the Blade Runner like the RKO out of nowhere. Yeah, he has found creative ways to hit that finish on basically anyone in any situation. I love how versatile he's gotten with it. And I'm glad that he got the win here because he needs to look strong. Even if he doesn't win the tournament, which I don't think he will, he needs to look strong as his group is transitioning into a new period, I think. Now that they got Juice back, now that they're feuding with people for the belts, now that he's doing single stuff, he needs to remind people how good he is. So, and it's something that I feel like he reminds people all the time. Like in the last tournament, in the Continental Crown tournament, he was showing people how good he was. So, great stuff from both guys. I love the after stuff because I'm very intrigued by having two heel teams going for the trios title.
Yeah, maybe, well, depending on what happens with House of Black, maybe even 3. Christian's just picking a fight with fucking everybody right now.
Yeah, seriously. And it's weird because, again, another heel versus heel team there. And I'm not ready to cheer Christian. I'm really not. I love him. I think he's incredible. I want to boo him, though.
Yeah.
So, very interesting timing for everybody. And I'm looking forward because Jay is going to be going against the most intriguing matchup, as we have Jeff Jarrett taking on the wild card,
which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, which we will. But it's very intriguing because Jay's in a very interesting situation, depending on who that wild card is, and I think we have an idea of who that wild card is. But
perhaps.
Yeah, good matchup, and just happy to see Jay doing so well.
Yeah, me too. I'm a big Jay White fan, and again, only because I really caught the end there, but I did like the fact that, and this is something you mention all the time, Shabe, when they got into that back and forth counter for counter, Excalibur was like, oh, counter, another counter. This is something that you think would favor Jay White, and it eventually did because he was the guy who got the upper hand and hit the Blade Runner, as you said, out of nowhere. So I was a big fan of the finish and just the way that, even though it was a very short sequence, it was maybe only 30 seconds, that finish told just as much of a story as I imagine the whole match did. Yep. So just a good, smart ending. And yeah, I agree with you. This Christian stuff is going to be fun. We'll see where they go with it. I'm not sure who the face trios guys are outside of maybe the Acclaimed, but they're busy back in the tag division right now. So we'll see, who Christian can, try to piss off next. And hopefully, they have a dad that's a decent one. So
one last thing I want to say about the matchup. Jay always does very well against fast-paced guys.
Yeah.
And I think tonight really highlighted that. So just good showing.
Yeah. Chrome asking perhaps of anybody turning face, perhaps it is the Bang Bang Gang. I don't know. They're funnier when they're not face. They just are. Maybe eventually, but not yet.
Yeah.
All right. We then went backstage with our EVPs, Nicholas and Matthew Jackson. Unfortunately, as Excalibur said, and probably caught a fine on that. Nicholas started off by complaining that the Acclaimed were able to take advantage of his temper and the fact that because of his temper, he brought in his title belt into the ring, and they used that in order to win their match last week and get their championship opportunity. Matthew calms him down, saying it's fine because they're still the AEW Tag Team Champions. Okada's still the AEW Continental Champion. And Jack Perry will soon go on to win the TNT Championship. Matthew also announces that they will be entering their own man into the Owen Hart tournament as the wild card, claiming that man is going to run through the tournament, win the AEW World Championship, and bring the title back to the Elite, giving them all of the power and all of the gold. So, James, you just hinted at this. It looks like we are going to be getting an Elite-backed wild card in this tournament to go against Jeff Jarrett. I think the obvious speculation here is it is going to be Hangman Adam Page. I'm guessing that's where you're going with this, but if you got any other guys from out of left field, I didn't want to use wild card again, but if you got any guys from out of left field that you could possibly think of that wouldn't be Hangman, I'm all ears because I feel like he's the easiest choice.
I can't do this right now, man. I'm sorry. Just really bad wrestling news came through.
Oh, no. Did somebody pass away or?
All of our collective hopes and dreams, as it's official, Rhea Ripley got married to Buddy Matthews.
Congratulations to them.
No! Man, Anyway, yeah, Hangman, awesome.
I thought somebody died. The way you stole that, I thought someone died.
My hopes and dreams did, bro. My heart did. Man, feel for me. Anyway, all right. Yeah, no, sure. We'll talk about AEW, I guess.
You're the one who was so adamant about talking about it earlier.
And then I almost made a really fucked up joke.
We did not get us canceled.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you off air. I have a weird feeling, yes, it's going to be Hangman, but I also have a weird feeling we're going to get swerved, and Hangman's not actually going to align with the Elite. Like, they're going to get him in the matchup thinking that he's going to be Team Elite, Team Bucks, Team Jack Perry, Team Okada, but really he just uses them to get into the tournament as the wild card.
So he can face Swerve again.
Yeah, so he can face Swerve again. And then he screws with the Elite as part of Team AEW.
Which means he would have to align with Swerve.
I think so. I think so. I don't know, man. I have a weird feeling. Remember, like, be careful about saying his name, but Hangman's whole thing has been about wanting to defend AEW. I could see that continuing against the Elite. I'm just saying, Team AEW being Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, Swerve,
MJF.
That's an all-star team.
Yeah, we need one more.
No, it would be 4v4 in that instance.
Well, I know, but they said they did make a pretty, good point the other week when the Bucks came face to face with Swerve that Blood and Guts is usually 5-on-5.
Oh, fair enough.
So I would think we go 5. Whether maybe that's Ospreay, I don't know, but
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see who the fifth member of both sides were, because then if you do think that Hangman's not going to align with the Elite, then we need a fifth guy for the Elite, and I'm trying to rack my brain. I don't know who it could possibly be.
Crazy times in AEW, pal. But I'm loving it. I'm really liking it. And Chrome saying too soon for Omega for Blood and Guts. Ospreay, MJF, Swerve, and a team. Probably the Acclaimed, right?
Yeah, that'd be probable. Especially if Hangman does end up aligning with the Elite. Because I agree. It's going to be really tough for Kenny to come back, I think, by Blood and Guts. Now, granted, they haven't announced anything as to when he's coming back. But it seems like it'd be fairly difficult considering everything he's gone through. So, but I think that's something, that we are not only just going to have to watch for, but I'm looking forward to it because we're going to be speculating a lot. But I'm excited to see how they build out Team AEW. I'm excited to see if they, who the fifth man of the Elite could be, and if it's not Hangman, who could it possibly be? Unless it's just like bringing Christian because of their mutual beneficial relationship. But
yeah, but no, I think it's gonna have. they're going to have to pick a big name for this. And Hangman checks all the boxes.
On either side.
Yeah.
So, but it seems pretty obvious to me that the wild card is going to be Hangman.
Yeah.
Unless, like you said, they swerve the ever-living shit out of us.
But the thing to remember is AEW often goes with the predictable choice because the predictable choice is often the one that makes the most sense for the story.
Yeah,
they're not about. Yeah, they're not trying to swerve us. They're not trying to gotcha us. They want to give us the satisfying story, even if we figure it out before they reveal it. So I think Hangman, like I said, he ticks a lot of those boxes. But I'm gonna stick with it. Even if he starts with the Elite, I don't think he ends with the Elite. I really don't.
Yeah, I can see him being against the way they're running things and wanting to leave. That's possible as well.
Yep.
Shit, I had something I completely forgot it. It's okay. I got distracted by the rain. No, that's not me. But I'll just use that opportunity to move along here as we came back from commercial to the Acclaimed in the ring. We have Max Caster starting things off by saying after they beat the Young Cucks last week, it proved that they the Young Cucks, which got bleeped both times, can't be EVPs. They can't run production, and they certainly can't hang with the Acclaimed in the ring. Anthony Bowens then grabs the mic and he says that he and Cass are strategizing for when and where they're going to use their title shot and what they're going to do once they do, and that when they do it, they will defeat the Young Bucks and become the two-time tag team champions. Bowens then goes for a scissor with Daddy Ass, but he is cut off by the Elite and Okada telling them to scissor me, bitch. And only Okada could just get the word bitch over.
It'll never get old.
It will not. After his shtick last week, everyone was just repeating the same line they always do. He's a comedy wrestler in a 5-star wrestler's body. Anyway, Matthew thanks the Rainmaker for that opening introduction, and then announces that they are there to conduct some business, with Nicholas challenging the Acclaimed to a trios match at Forbidden Door. Daddy Ass answers the call, saying he has known plenty of guys in power, EVPs, COOs, and maybe even a president. And we then get a video package for the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, who announces himself as the Scissor Ace, and he will be joining the Acclaimed in their match against the Elites.
I'm really happy. I'm really, really happy. I love Tana. I love Tana.
Stupid, sexy Tanahashi.
It's crazy unfair. But no, this is awesome. Now it feels like a Forbidden Door match.
It does.
I'm just so happy about this. And it ties into our giveaway that we're really going to kickstart tonight.
I'm excited just because I just like watching Tanahashi wrestle. I know obviously he's lost a step or two, but he's still awesome. It's still fun to see him. And him goofing off with the Acclaimed is going to be great. Watching him scissor fucking Bowens is going to be hilarious. So absolutely. I am all for this team up. I'm really excited. I'm actually curious who's going to win. And I know that sounds stupid, but considering I think the Bucks are probably going to retain their titles, assuming the Acclaimed do face them for them, then I think that there's a real 50-50 chance of who ends up winning this match. So It should be a lot of fun. Plus, Okada and Tanahashi staring down each other is always good.
It'll never get old.
Never, ever. Just like Tanahashi. All right, after this, we went backstage with the newly dubbed conglomeration of Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Kyle O'Reilly. And look, these are just becoming the Mark Briscoe show, and they're great.
Love it. Love it. I love it. I love it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Kyle O'Reilly, he did a great job. Admirable try, but he proved there's only one Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, and we started it with Briscoe saying that he's going to win the TNT Championship because he only has one title and his other shoulder is cold. Kyle then jumped in, like you said, and did his pretty much own impression of Briscoe, calling out Zack Sabre Jr., who he was facing later in the evening. The word of the day was synchronicity, which either I can't spell or isn't a word. Where it's like Kyle's like, this is one hand, this is another hand, and they watch each other, just like me and Briscoe watch each other. I was like, what the fuck is he saying? Eventually, though, Briscoe was like, that wasn't a bad job, but you should have called Sabre things like a spot of tea. And then he just runs off another bunch of British phrases before he eventually loses it, screaming about Forbidden Door, and runs off, and Kyle follows him. Renee and Orange then comment about that was pretty good, although Orange said Kyle did kind of lose it there at the end, but not bad. We then went to our next match, as James will be right back, as we saw a timeless Toni Storm face off against, timeless Toni Storm, Mariah May, and Mina Shirakawa face off against Saraya, Harley, Cameron, and Anna Jay. This obviously stemmed from last week, where the Outcasts, I guess Anna has joined them. They attacked these three women at the contract signing, so we now have this match. This was a very storyline-driven match. Not that it was poorly wrestled, but that it was very clear that you could see that from before the match even started. When Mariah made two entrances, she first came out with Toni Storm, and they did their entrance together. But as Toni headed down to the ring, Mariah then doubled back, and she made her entrance with Mina doing their old tag team entrance from Stardom. We also saw Mina start the match, and the first person she tagged in, was Mariah. And when Mariah went to tag out, she wasn't sure who to tag, Mina or Toni. So that led to both of them yelling, "She's mine," and attempting to tag themselves in. This distraction, however, led to Harley, Cameron, and Anna Jay getting the upper hand, where Harley was able to kick Toni off of the apron, and Anna stuck around and grabbed Mina and threw her into the barricade. Coming back from commercial, Toni had become the legal person because she was the one who just so happened to tag herself in first. And she had been able to turn things around and get Saraya into her own corner, where she was able to hit a hip attack. However, Mina then tagged herself in, and all that confusion allows Saraya to kind of scramble back over to her corner and tag in Harley, who comes in and catches Mina with a boot, and that forces Mariah to jump in and break up the pin, whereas Toni decided to do nothing. The match obviously then broke down with all the women hitting some big spots and knocking each other out of the ring, until Mina was finally able to clear the ring of anybody who was not legal when she hit a spinning back fist on Anna Jay. Harley then tried to hit a head kick, but Mina countered it by catching it, and then threw her foot down and hit another spinning back fist before getting Harley up and hitting the Mina driver for the win. After the match, Mina obviously brought in her celebratory champagne and kept the food for herself and gave one to Mariah. But Mariah gave the champagne food to Toni and convinced the two women to toast before their match on Sunday. They actually do so. Toni absolutely rips the champagne down, taking it like I take it, just a shot, because I'm not a big champagne guy. And then Mariah goes to hug Mina. She does that. She turns around and goes to hug Toni, but this pisses Mina off. So Mina goes over to the corner, grabs the bottle of champagne. By this point, Toni had turned her back to Mina. So when Mina goes up to her, Mina spins Toni around and goes to hit Toni with the champagne bottle. However, Toni ducks it, and Mina whacks Mariah upside in the head with it as it shatters into a billion pieces, and Mariah goes to the floor out cold. Both women are initially shocked and concerned for Mariah. However, that quickly turned into anger for one another as they both blamed each other for Mariah getting hit. And the refs were down there coming to check on Mariah before the two women were able to get physical, so they just separated them, and things ended there. So, James, as I was saying as you stepped away, this was a good match. I thought it was very well wrestled, but it was very clearly a match built around the storyline of Toni and Mina fighting over Mariah, and it clearly caused some dysfunction throughout the match. But we saw Mina getting the pinfall and the momentum heading into Forbidden Door, but then obviously we see her fuck up, as the crowd so graciously told her, of accidentally hitting Mariah in the head with the champagne bottle.
You know, first of all, I loved how Mina was mad at Toni after that. Like, girl, you're the one who took the shot and missed. I don't know what you're mad at Toni for right now. You're the bad guy here. The match itself was fine. It's funny, I was watching with Allie, who tunes in and out of wrestling. You know, she comes in and out, and she saw Anna, who she was a big fan of during her Dark Order days, and asked me, "Is Anna not a good wrestler?" And I asked what made her ask that, and she said, "It just feels like everything she's doing is very choreographed and very planned." And I love Anna, but it's true. I think she was like, I think she was the weak part of the match. And I think that's saying a lot considering how inexperienced Harley is, but how great Harley's been in her appearances.
Harley has taken to wrestling like, a fish to water. She's been great at it. And Anna, similarly, when I believe when she started wrestling, at least in AEW, she hadn't been wrestling for that long. I think she was a dancer originally or something. So it's just taking her. I think it's just taking her longer to really get there. You can tell she has the moves down and stuff, but you could tell it kind of like a dancer. It's still very choreographed, and she's trying to remember all the moves as if they're steps to a dance. And I get that to an extent, but she does lack a kind of like natural feel to a match. And so I kind of understand where Allie's coming from there. And I'm with you though. I still do love Anna, and she's still very young.
I'm still rooting for her. I still enjoy when she comes out. I think she adds something fun to whatever she's a part of. But otherwise, match was good. Finish was good, and I like Mina a lot. I'm gonna miss her post Forbidden Door. I really like the dynamic she has. I hope that she sticks around for a little bit if possible, but I think her part of the story is going to be over. And let's see how the Toni Mariah relationship is going to evolve post Sunday.
Yeah, because your initial thought following this would be, it looks like Mariah is going to pick Toni's side now, but perhaps depending on what happens, maybe the way Toni wins, Mariah maybe also get a little frustrated with Toni. So who knows? This is one of those storylines I'm very intrigued to see what's happening, because I have been pretty invested since it has started, and it hasn't exactly gone the way we thought it was going to, because we thought it was going to kind of follow that movie where Mariah slowly became Toni, and we haven't quite gotten there yet. But their friendship and the way it was Mariah fawning over a Toni who wouldn't give her the time of day, and now it's Toni being very protective of Mariah, and Mariah, while still being very close with Toni, also showing that she is very close to somebody else. There's a lot of moving parts here, and while I'm going to be very disappointed when this beautiful partnership ends, I think it is going to make for some very intriguing television, and then some very damn good wrestling, because both these women are very good at the ring.
Perfectly said, Brent.
I'm still gonna cry. Not really, but I'm gonna be upset because
it's like did you ever see Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yes, I quote that incessantly.
Incredible movie. And when Jason Segel's character is found in the bed by the big guy who works there.
Are those happy tissues or sad tissues?
Same question at the end of this.
Bonk, because that's the joke. Moving on. We then got a promo package for Mercedes Moné and Stephanie Vacar as they're facing each other, obviously, on Sunday for both the TBS Championship and the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. We then went backstage to a promo with Mercedes, where she called out Stephanie for not being at Dynamite after Mercedes had made her way down to Mexico to see Stephanie retain her title. Mercedes jokes that maybe she got scared off after Mercedes kicked her ass and held both titles above her head following her match. Mercedes has heard, though, that Stephanie is going to be having a match on Collision on Saturday, so I guess she's going to have to make her way over to TNT to get another up-close look. Mm-hmm. We then went back to the ring to see the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho, and his branches, I guess that's what we're calling them, head down there for a promo. Last week I think it was on Collision, Samoa Joe, Hook, and Katsuyori Shibata had attacked these three men, and then that left the Bad Apple, Bounty Hunter Brian Keith. I'm not just calling him the Bad Apple. Bounty Hunter is too cool of a nickname. In a sling with an injured arm. So, Big Bill calls out those three men for injuring Keith, and then challenges them to a trios match on Sunday. He called them out because they had challenged Joe and Hook and Shibata had challenged the three of them to a match, but they had injured Keith first, and that was pretty fucking stupid. It's like, why would you injure somebody and then leave us a match short? However, Bill says, in the words of the Learning Tree, when one door closes, another forbidden door opens. Jericho then gets on the mic. Hi, everyone. And he reminds them that the only reason he's there is to help the young guys. And obviously, this was a very stupid reference to what Cody Rhodes said today.
All right, thank you. I hated it. I loved it, and I hated it, and I loved how much I hated it. And
it ridiculously plays into Jericho's character. For those of you who didn't see it, Cody did an interview. I forget to say, I don't remember with whom.
I think it was yesterday it came out.
Yeah, and Cody said that one of the biggest red flags for him is anybody who says that they're just there to help the younger guys, saying that, they should just be honest because, let's be realistic, they're there to help themselves and make some money, and if you happen to help some of the other guys, hooray. If not, I don't give a shit. I'm getting paid, and you should just be honest. So, Jericho just makes a blatant reference to this, which, again, perfectly fits into this character.
Absolutely.
Yes. And he says that is the reason why he has taken on the Bad Apple and Big Bill, the Redwood. Jericho says then that he's made a few friends in the 60 times he's been to Japan, which is a lot, everybody. And he has gotten a video from a friend of his that he's going to show, and he hasn't watched it yet because he wanted to watch it with all of his branches. And it will be the person who will be joining them for this trios match at Forbidden Door. The video then reveals it is Minoru Suzuki. Correct. However, Jericho gets swerved because Suzuki says that instead of wanting to be Jericho's partner, he wants to wrestle Jericho one-on-one on Sunday. Suzuki asks if Jericho is a chicken, saying he wants nothing to do with whatever a learning tree is, and that he wants to face Jericho for his FTW championship. Brian Keith gets on the microphone irate and says that Jericho ain't no lame-ass chicken, but before he can continue, he is interrupted by Samoa Joe's music. Joe, Hook, and Shibata all come down to the ring, with Joe saying how awkward it is that they came to Buffalo looking for a savior and instead found a challenger. It seems like the learning tree is much like Jericho's family tree. There's just not enough branches.
What was that in reference to?
It's an inbreeding joke.
Oh. Okay.
Joe then continues to say that they have watched every learning tree segment to learn everything they can about their opponents, and Shibata, the wordsmith that he is, knows exactly how to describe it when Jericho drops his pearls of wisdom upon us. Shibata then uses his phone to say, "Oh, brother, this guy sucks."
I love that. Just beautiful. It's stunning.
Which then causes Jericho to lose his temper and slap Samoa Joe in the face. Joe obviously was not going to take this standing up or lying down. So he goes right after Jericho. Keith couldn't really do anything because his arm's in a sling. And it basically led to a 3-on-2 assault by Joe, Hook, and Shibata. And that drove. So, James, I don't really know where we ended up here because there's still this challenge from Joe and Shibata and Hook, and we kind of need a name for them for this trios tag, but they never got the third member. And meanwhile, we then have Suzuki challenging Jericho for the FTW Championship at Forbidden Door, which, side note, Chaz, who has had himself a couple of days with copyright infringement, which I'll get to in the next match, he did crack the joke that it'd be better than Jericho. At least Suzuki has a towel on his head. So, but I felt this was left a little unresolved, even though it's pretty cool that we are once again going to see Suzuki show up at Forbidden Door, or presumably we are.
No, I agree. I'm very conflicted because on one hand, I would love to see Suzuki wrestle Jericho at Forbidden Door. On the other hand, I don't want to see Joe, Hook, and Shibata left off the card. So I don't really know where to go with this. I feel like no matter what, I'm going to be sad for somebody. But I thought the segment itself was fine. I love that Jericho was so arrogant that he didn't even listen or watch the video ahead of time. Like, they even commented on it. It's like, yeah, we didn't even see it. Somebody else played a video earlier, and, you know, we don't need to play our video. We didn't need to play our video ahead of time. We know. And then, boom, blows up in his face. I love that. I loved it. I thought it played into his character super, super well. Sorry. But, yeah, I also feel bad for Brian Keith. Why is this guy still getting the short end of everything?
Is he actually hurt, or is this like a storyline?
I think it's storyline. I don't really know. But again, like, man, I'm rooting for this guy. I don't want him to just be there to deliver one-liners every once in a while. So, I don't know. Overall, everything was fine. Everything that was done was fine. Nobody did anything bad. Nothing was offensive about the storyline or this angle that they shot. But I don't know. One part of me, I would have rathered this somehow. I would have rathered the FTW title be on the line somehow involving Suzuki and Joe. I think that would have really been what made me the happiest.
Some sort of like triple threat, or
yeah.
I think my initial read on this.
Oh, you're cutting out.
And then, so are you. You're back. I think it's going to probably be Jericho versus Suzuki for the title on Sunday. And then either Big Bill and Keith, if he's, healthy again on Sunday, maybe they find a third partner from New Japan to go up against Joe, Hook, and Shibata. Or if Keith isn't still healthy, they can either get two guys for Big Bill, or they just do like some sort of exhibition with Joe, Hook, and Shibata, maybe face off against like CMLL guys on the pre-show or something like that. I doubt very much that this new group is going to be left off of the card. But if Jericho's busy with Suzuki, I find it hard to believe that not hard to believe, but it's going to be a little difficult getting it where all, both of these branches, or at least one of them, is involved, because then I feel like you're just forcing it. Yeah. And I think the third option's the best. Just put Joe and put Joe, Shibata, and Hook up against some New Japan guys who aren't on the card yet, or some CMLL guys who aren't on the card yet, and just let them go at it. It seems.
No, I'm inclined to agree.
And they'll probably be on the pre-show, but it is what it is.
Yeah, better than nothing, though.
Exactly. And you're getting, these guys haven't really had too many matches yet. I'm not even sure they've had a trios match yet. Oh, no, they did against they did against the Premier Athletes. But yeah, putting them on the pay-per-view, letting them just get another big, vicious win over somebody seems like the play. And then you can continue to build the learning tree stuff from there. All right. After that, we went to another match. This was Zack Sabre Jr. against Kyle O'Reilly. Bit of setup here. We had Orange Cassidy on commentary. Notably, side note, no Shivani tonight. I didn't hear
Yeah.
why. I missed like the first minute and a half of the episode. So hope he's okay.
But they didn't say anything. I was watching, and I don't think they said anything. So
Didn't mention. Okay. But Orange is on commentary. Also, Undisputed Kingdom, pretty much just Roddy and the Kingdom, were sitting ringside in the stands, along with the member of Bullet Club War Dogs, Gabe Kidd. James, I don't know who Gabe Kidd is. I was hoping you can maybe fill in me and some of the viewers on who he is, if you know it all.
if you guys have seen the wrestler who did an appearance on that talk show where he was differentiating AEW, WWE, and New Japan, where WWE, if you want to watch spectacle, if you want to watch big storytelling, you watch WWE. If you want to watch a bunch of fat neckbeard virgins, you watch AEW. And if you want to watch some of the best wrestling in the world, you watch New Japan. That's Gabe Kidd. He is part of the Bullet Club. He is a young, Spitfire talent. He is one of the funniest and hard-hitting guys New Japan has to offer. One of their best guys in, and he's only just going to keep getting better and better.
Cool. I didn't know he was that Gabe Kidd, but that was such a stupid quote. Although it was probably.
So you remember that, right? When he
I remember the quote. Yeah, I thought that was pretty dumb, but he was probably.
he did it on he did it in character. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He did it in character. So that was on CBS News. So go check that out, guys. Gabe Kidd just absolutely shitting on AEW.
Good quote then.
And
he
is also the youngest never openweight champion. He was the person who beat Eddie Kingston for the title in the match that Eddie broke his leg.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you, James. Anyway, I'm going to shoot to the end of this match. A lot of this was kind of what you expect out of Kyle O'Reilly and Zack Sabre Jr. Very technical. A lot of Chris backing you up on that. Eddie got injured in that match. Thank you, Chris. But as I was saying, this was a very technical match. A lot of stuff on the mat. Some solid striking out of Kyle when he could get a strike in. But Zack Sabre Jr., for the most part, was able to keep that striking at a minimum and keep this a very mat-based match. Really cool, though. A lot of good transitions. This is wrestling chant from the crowd. So good match.
What I love.
As I was saying, though, as we got to the end, O'Reilly was able to counter a double leg attempt from Zack Sabre Jr. with a kitchen sink knee to the gut, and that left both men down. When we then cut to the Undisputed Kingdom, kind of getting a bit of an argument with Gabe Kidd, who seemed like, did he want to go for the ring? I wasn't entirely sure what the argument was about, but they seem to be having differences of opinion.
Quite frankly, I have no idea what Gabe Kidd was doing there, because he's not associated with Zack Sabre Jr. at all or TMDK. I was confused by this, and I don't mind it if it's setting up a never open weight match between him and Kyle O'Reilly, but it just felt super random.
Yeah, and I think they mentioned that Undisputed Kingdom will be teaming with Kidd on either Friday or Saturday, so something I'm sure is coming down the pipeline with him. He wouldn't just be there for no reason. But we didn't really exactly get what that was tonight. As for the match, after both men got up, they got into an exchange of palm strikes. So they were just slapping the shit of each other until Zack Sabre Jr. Was able to catch one of these palm strikes and hit a flying armbar, seemingly out of nowhere. And he took Kyle down. Kyle tried to counter, but Sabre was then able to shift to a triangle, and eventually, I'm not even sure what he did. He inside outed Kyle's arm and pinned it behind his own back. They didn't call what it was. It looked nasty as hell, and Kyle was forced to submit.
Would you say it was kind of a chicken wing of sorts?
Sort of, but didn't he do it with his feet?
He
had him in such a fucking pretzel. I couldn't exactly tell what it was, but that is the beauty of Zack Sabre Jr.
It was tough for me because I love matches like this. Well, let's get into the after match stuff. So quickly, after the match,
Zack Sabre Jr. went over to the ropes and held them open and started chirping Orange on commentary, which the announce desk was actually on the stage, which we don't really see too often anymore in AEW. So Orange throws the headset off, comes down, goes through the ropes, and just ignores Zack and goes straight over to Kyle to check on him and see how he's doing. This ticks off Roddy and the Kingdom, so Roddy comes into the ring. He throws Orange out of the way, and he's now checking on Kyle. And Orange is now back face-to-face with Zack Sabre Jr. Two of them start jawing a little bit, and if I mean the two of them, I mean Zack starts jawing, and Orange just kind of stands there, not really giving a shit. And eventually, Zack is joined by the Mighty Don't Kneel, the tag team, Shane Hayes, and what's your other man's name? I didn't get it. I remember Shane Hayes.
I actually don't think that was Mikey Nichols. That's the thing.
But it was not, because, even though...
So, it was just a member of the group, TMDK.
Yes. Even though Excalibur said it was the Mighty Don't Kneel.
Well, so, the whole group is the Mighty Don't Kneel. So
okay, fair. But in my defense, it used to just be the tag team.
Yeah,
it was Shane and Mikey.
Yeah.
AKA TM61 for those of you who remember them from NXT.
NXT, yeah.
Also, fun fact, TM61, Will-O-Wisp.
That was for you, Dan.
Anyway, Orange quickly, though, gets some backup of his own as Tomohiro Ishii decides to come down to the ring and stand side by side with Cassidy. Not necessarily evening up the odds, but I'm pretty sure Ishii can take two of those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
So I guess it's evening up the odds. Ishii then broke up some pushing and shoving between Orange and the other member of TMDK that we can't remember. And as all that's going on, fucking Gabe Kidd's just on the apron screaming at everybody and not really getting anybody's attention. And we then headed into commercial. So James, as you were saying, you were a big fan of these, mat-based grappling, submission back and forth style matches. I do too when they're, they don't come too often, but I like them fairly sporadically because it keeps them fresh and it keeps them cool. And this was one tonight where I knew we were going to get a good one between Kyle and Zack. We absolutely got that. And then we got some intriguing stuff after the match as obviously Zack and Orange are facing off on Sunday. And we're continuing this little side storyline of Roddy and the Kingdom trying to be Kyle's friend, despite the fact that maybe isn't in their best interests due to their alignments at the moment.
Yeah, no, first of all, will never not get excited for Ishii to show up. Love Ishii. Love seeing him on TV. Love seeing him no matter where he is. And I bought him being the backup for Orange Cassidy. I bought that is enough to get people to back down. I loved it. Well done.
I also like to establish Orange hasn't lost all of his friends either, because yes. I believe Ishii's in Chaos, if I'm not mistaken.
He is, which Orange is still a part of, technically.
Sorta, yeah.
Yeah. And it also goes to Ishii's character. Ishii is one of the most loyal wrestlers in New Japan. So it's very in character for him to still be there for Orange. I love it.
I did want to quickly jump in. Chris telling us Gabe Kidd is teaming with Roderick Strong to take on the Infantry on Rampage. Thank you, Chris. I was not sure what that matchup was, and now we got it.
Thank you, Chris. I love matches like this. I love hard-hitting strike fests mixed with good old grappling, that technical wrestling. I love it. It's hard because I'm really rooting for Kyle. Kyle needs a big, big win, but there is
he's over and around like 500 since he's come back. He might even be under.
It's rough. I know he's winning stuff. He's not winning anything that matters, though.
You know who's 500?
Who?
The Mets, because they just blew the Yankees out.
Oh, you guys won?
Yeah, we were up 10-2 last I looked, so I'll double check, but
it's okay. We'll get you in the next series.
METS Mets.
But Zack Sabre Jr. is the best, or one of the best technical wrestlers on the planet today. The only man who could give Bryan Danielson a run for his money in the Bryan Danielson Award. Zack Sabre Jr. So I love that this match happened. I feel bad for Cool Kyle. I hope he gets a big win soon. I I kind of even hope he just joins the Undisputed Kingdom at this point.
I don't know. I kind of like the conglomeration, man.
I do, all right, here's the thing. I do too. We know it ain't a thing. We know it's not a thing.
I could feel like it's going to be a thing until maybe he does join the Undisputed Kingdom, but I would be a little disappointed because I'm really enjoying him and Briscoe bouncing off of each other, with Orange just trying to play completely straight.
It's weird that in a group, it's weird that Orange Cassidy is the normal one in a group. Commendable booking. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy. I love the little detail of Sabre holding the ropes open for Orange, but Orange rolled into the ring.
Yeah.
I love that.
Because he didn't go down there to confront Sabre. He went down there to check on Kyle, so completely makes sense. It's the small things, especially with Orange, where he does something like that, and it's just like, holy shit, that makes so much sense as to why.
100%. 100%. But yeah, I'm hoping that we get another match added at Forbidden Door for Kyle, probably against Gabe Kidd or with Roddy in it. I would love a triple threat. Roddy, Gabe Kidd, and Kyle for the title, for Gabe Kidd's title. I think that would be a lot of fun. But let's see. And by the way, I said the Never Strong title before. I apologize. I meant the Strong Openweight title from like their Strong brand. It gets confusing, but
okay, yeah. So not the Never Openweight, the Strong.
Not the Never. Yeah, the Strong.
Okay, cool. Either way, that could be interesting. You might even, if you really want to, perhaps do something. If you can get another War Dog in there, you have Roddy and Kyle team up against them, and put a little odd couple tag team in there.
Yeah, no, that'd be a great way to go too. I'm shocked that Dave Finley's not on this card, the leader of the Bullet Club.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Truly
also,
shocked.
Does he also lead the War Dogs too, or are they separate?
He gathered the War Dogs. They are his War Dogs, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was some factions within Bullet Club, but
I
haven't been keeping up with the Joneses as much as I used to.
It's okay. But, he leads Bullet Club. He leads, the War Dogs are his. And he's a champion right now. He's the global champion for New Japan. So I don't know how he's not on this card. And I think that would have been a great tag match, like you just said.
That's the old U.S. title, right? The global championship?
It transformed it.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was that, and then Will made it the UK title, and then I think they just kind of merged it into global.
Exactly.
Just double check it. But yeah, I think that there's a few routes they could go to get Kyle and Roddy on the card, and I think it would behoove them to do it. That's two guys I think you would want to showcase on the pay-per-view, and if you could do it via the War Dogs in whichever way, whichever manner it is, whether it's the tag match like I said or the title match like you said, I think it'd be smart to try to get as many people as you can onto this card.
Absolutely.
Even though it's going to then take us 5 to 6 hours to watch it.
And then another 5 to 6 to review it.
Yep. All right. Speaking of taking a long time, let's hit our main event of the evening, which saw the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland and the AEW International Champion Will Ospreay. What's going on? Good to see you, man.
Hope you're doing well.
Yep. As I was saying, Swerve and Ospreay were taking on former Mogul Embassy members, the Gates of Agony. So for this match, Swerve took a lot of the early punishment. Eventually, though, shortly after commercial, he is able to tag in Ospreay for the hot tag. Ospreay, though, eventually, after doing a pretty good job, he gets caught and is being pinned, and that forces Swerve to come in and break that up. Swerve then hit a Swerve Stomp to Bishop Khan on the outside, while Ospreay sets up for what Excalibur initially called as possibly the Oz Cutter on Toa Leona, but then he grabs Leona, and it looks like he's going to attempt the Tiger Driver. Swerve starts screaming at him to hit it, and Ospreay, because of his hesitation, then decides to get Leona for the Stormbreaker, which very conveniently has the same setup. And Leona is able to get free, and he tries to shove Ospreay into Swerve, who's out on the apron. Ospreay is able to stop himself short, and then he dodges a charging Leona, who gets punched in the face by Swerve. But when Ospreay comes in with a kick, Leona is able to duck that, and he accidentally kicks Swerve in the face instead. This then allows Leona to grab Ospreay, and he throws him into a Bishop Khan pounce and sends Ospreay flying. And then Leona comes in for the cover, and Ospreay is able to kick out of that. Khan then takes himself in, and they attempt to double team on Ospreay, but Ospreay is able to struggle and avoid any major hits until Swerve comes back in. And when Swerve comes back in, he comes in with a high boot aimed right at Ospreay's face. Luckily, or intentionally, Ospreay is able to duck that boot, and it takes Leona out. The two men get into a bit of an argument, but they're able to come back to their senses before they are double clotheslined by Bishop Khan. Then the two of them team up on Khan. They hit double head kicks, and then Ospreay goes for a Rana, which is blocked. So Swerve assists him by kicking Khan in the head, and the Rana is successful. And then Ospreay hits an Oz cutter that Khan is very surprisingly able to kick out of. Yeah. Swerve then sees Leona stirring in the corner and decides this is a good time to show Ospreay what it truly means to be a champion. He goes over to Leona and, staring right at Ospreay, snaps Leona's arm in half. And this literally caused Ospreay to physically jump back in shock. Ospreay then he shakes it off, lines up the hidden blade on Khan, and hits that for the 1, 2, 3, and the win. After the match, as Ospreay's music is playing, Swerve grabs his title, and they get their hands raised, and then Swerve goes to leave. But Ospreay, once again, very cheekily swipes the AEW championship from Swerve. Swerve, who had told him never to do that again, gets pissed off, kicks out the back of Ospreay's knee so he goes down, and then hits a house call, knocking Ospreay out. Swerve then
did warn him. I gotta say, he did warn him.
Yeah, no, he did.
Tonight was a night of Will fucking around, and in this case, finding out.
Yeah, it was the guy in the graph and fuck around, find out, and puts the circle. Anyway, Swerve ended by grabbing his title and walking out, leaving Ospreay on the ground. So, James, I think this match did exactly what it needed to do. One, it was good, obviously. Against Agony, a pretty solid powerhouse tag team. I do like them. They do tend to lose a lot, but although they were the ROH Trios champs for a while, but they're still really tough guys when you put them in a match, and they're just dudes who look like they should win because they're large and Polynesian.
The Vince McMahon style of booking.
Yep. And you then had, I think, the perfect amount of miscommunications between Will and Swerve, leading to Will accidentally getting a shot in on Swerve, Swerve seemingly attempting to retaliate, and it leading to their eventual win, but then Swerve having the last laugh and really teaching Will two lessons. One, the lines you need to cross to be a champion by snapping Leona's arm. And two, as you mentioned, fuck around and find out, as he put Ospreay down after Ospreay snagged his title. So everything I needed out of this match and this segment as we close out Dynamite and head to Forbidden Door.
So just going to go to the comments first real quick. Dro Davidian saying it's great to see Swerve and Ospreay as a tag team. I'm inclined to agree. I thought these two were, I'd be intimidated if I was going against these two. The absolute best that AEW has to offer right now, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I mean, they're two guys who can both, hit you really hard and also have some solid high flying in their moveset. Obviously, I think Will's got a little bit more high flying than Swerve, but Swerve's still really good in the ropes and in the air. And if this was a different universe, they would be a great tag team together.
Absolutely. And and also saying they're both really good wrestlers.
I wouldn't be surprised. Side note, sorry, I wouldn't be surprised if Swerve and Ospreay have tagged together. So
they've definitely wrestled against each other in the past. So
because you can see the chemistry there.
Yeah, they know each other very well. You know me.
Thanks, Michael.
I am a big believer in the rule of opposite momentum when it comes to professional wrestling. Whoever's standing tall last before the pay-per-view is typically the one who loses. Are we really going to see two-belt bruv coming out of Forbidden Door? Granted, there's always outside circumstances. There's always interference. There's debuts.
There's that corny piece of shit.
Yep. It's not a lock, but the math, the science is sort of in support of Ospreay.
Well, your theory, yes. It's more of the theory of opposite momentum than the law of opposite momentum.
It is 87%. It is 100% accurate 87% of the time.
60% of the time, every time.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I thought the match was great. Beyond just how sadistic it was, I loved Swerve doing that arm snap to Leona because it's sending a message. I will do whatever I have to beat you.
Right. And that's been the storyline with Will is he won't. Will is afraid to use the Tiger Driver again. And we saw it again here tonight. And personally, I still think that is the story of the match on Sunday is that Will probably has this match in the bag. And whether or not Don's out there, I don't know. But I think Will's going to have this match in the bag. And all he's got to do is hit the Tiger Driver, and he doesn't, and he ends up costing him. Yep. And I think that's what's going to end up being the story. And then obviously, I think because of that, Don's going to be like, oh, this kid just doesn't have, the testicular fortitude to do what needs to be done to win a championship, and he's going to take him out.
Chris in the comments saying that Mercedes Mone is going to be the only person to walk out of Forbidden Door as a double champion.
I concur.
Yeah, I don't know. The chaos of it all wants it to be Will. I know it's not going to be Will.
I thought chaos was in the Orange Cassidy match. Come on, dude. You left it right there.
Hey, EW.
AU.
Fun matchup. I really do wish they would give a little more to the Gates of Agony, a little bit more of a shine on them.
Yeah.
Because I think they are two gifted, physically imposing studs that you can easily put tag team titles on. So, but either way, I love that bit. I love the finish to this match. I really do want to get past the storyline of the Tiger Driver, though. I'm done with it. Just, you have so many moves that end matches. You have the Oz Cutter, you have the Hidden Blade, you have the Stormbreaker. If you don't want to hit the Tiger Driver, just hit the goddamn Stormbreaker.
Fuck, are you even using the Sky Twister?
I'm done with this storytelling. You know it in the comments saying that theory works for playoff teams. If you go in rolling, you go out early. What do you have to say about that?
It happens sometimes. It really happens a lot in hockey. Like if you're hot early in the playoffs and your goalie goes cold towards the end of it, you can end up losing pretty quickly. Just because a lot of hockey is how hot is your goalie. But it depends. It depends. Sometimes you can be hot going in and then you lose steam halfway through. I've also seen teams be scorching hot, and like the Phillies last year in baseball, they made the World Series, and thank God they lost. But they were hot as hell, and they were like the third wild card. And then a few years before that, the Nationals were not a good team. They made a wild card, won the play-in game, and then won the World Series, which killed me. So it kind of depends on the sport, to be honest.
Well, fair enough.
But he's got a point. He does have a point. But yeah, I get what you're saying though about the law, the theory of opposite momentum, and that is your theory. But it's not the theory of gravity. Or no, gravity's a law, right? Or is it a theory still? I think gravity is a law. I think what you call it's a theory. Like matter can't be created nor destroyed, I think is the theory. And relativity is a theory. You know, E equals MC squared. Even though we like have proven all of this, we can't like actually prove it permanently.
What are the laws then?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, matter can't be created or destroyed is a law. It's the first law of thermodynamics. Sorry, it's been a little while since I've taken physics, and I didn't really pay attention the second time I took it.
We'll forgive you.
Yeah, but back on track here. I'm really excited for this match on Sunday.
Yeah,
it obviously is going to main event. As you said, Swerve and Ospreay, they seemingly have chemistry together, both as tag partners, and hopefully their past matches can help translate into an absolute banger on Sunday, which is what I'm fully expecting. So really excited, and I really, really thought this not only this match, but then the post-match drove home what this match is going to be about. And that is, you know, Will might be cocky, and you saw this at the beginning of the show too, when he offered the AEW World title shot to Garcia without even having the title yet. Will may be good, he may be, and he's very cocky and he's very confident, but he might not just have what it takes, you know, in terms of just willing to do anything. Yeah, that killer instinct that Swerve has in order to win the AEW championship, at least for now. Right, that wraps up the go-home show of Dynamite as we head into Forbidden Door on Sunday. James, we'll talk about Forbidden Door in a little bit in a second, but what'd you think of tonight? I thought this was a great go-home show. I thought, and this is something that happens a lot with Forbidden Door, and we've kind of been discussing over the last few weeks where there's just not a lot of guys from New Japan who show up in the build to Forbidden Door, and it's annoying, and you have to work around it, and a lot of it ends up being what we got tonight, where we had multiple people announced who are going to be in matches like Tanahashi, like Suzuki, and then Ishii showing up later in the evening. So we got all the names we were hoping for and wanted, and we have an idea now of where they're going to be on the card. And that did make for, I think, a bit more of a fun show than we have gotten the last few weeks, at least in terms of, okay, now it's Forbidden Door. And then I really liked wrestling tonight, and I think almost every segment that had to do with the pay-per-view really did a good job of setting up everything for Sunday.
They did a great job of setting up a lot for the future, whether it's MJF and Ospreay or this Sunday Ospreay and Swerve. I'm looking forward to this pay-per-view. I am. I think it's going to be a fun show. We were talking about it a little bit off air that even though I always love Forbidden Door, and even though I'm always excited for Forbidden Door, sometimes it does hurt the storytelling going up to the pay-per-view because it's so separate from the main AEW, I guess. I don't want to say canon, but like the main
current, like the continuity almost,
yes.
or the storytelling.
Yeah. So I enjoyed tonight. I've been enjoying most weeks. But I am ready to sort of shift into the next gear as with Forbidden Door ending this coming Sunday and then building towards All In next week. I think we're going to see a lot of pieces drastically move forward from this week to next week. Yeah,
and I believe next week is a beach break because Shark Week's coming up, so we got to get that corporate sponsorship in there.
And Can I actually talk about that real quick? I think
Shark Week, yes.
I think one of the biggest things that AEW has been missing out on are these themed episodes that they became so famous for.
Yeah.
Whether it was Grand Slam or Winter is Coming or Fight for the Fallen or Beach Break.
Fighter Fest.
They had so many that made Dynamites feel can't miss. Then they sort of got into a bad position very briefly that they were doing it every week, so it started to lose its luster. But now I couldn't tell you the last special episode we had. So I'm really glad we're getting Beach Break next week, and I'm really hoping they could find a balance for these special episodes.
Yeah, and I think it was weird too because I felt like it used to be when the pay-per-views were quarterly, they would kind of split it up with build to the big Dynamite blow-off matches, build to the pay-per-view blow-off matches, build to the big Dynamite blow. And we're getting more pay-per-views now, which has taken away a little bit from some of these big Dynamites. And I think they're trying to figure out when and where to use them properly. Next week, I think, might be a good one just because it'll allow for a bit of a, hey, we're back to just AEW shit because Forbidden Door season's done, which will be helpful. And also, don't forget, I think we're going to be more building towards Blood and Guts at first and then build towards All In. And obviously, there'll be a bit of both because we're going to probably go with some longer stories that'll take about 2 months for All In, along with the shorter term stuff for Blood and Guts, which is in July, as opposed to All In, I believe, being in August. So we're going to get a combination of those two things, and it'll create some good short-term stuff towards that will blow off towards the end of July at Blood and Guts, and then we'll get the longer-term stuff that blows off at All In, and I think it's going to be really exciting in the next 2 months as we head to, as you call it, AEW's WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah. So, good episode of Dynamite, but I am looking forward for the future. That's kind of where my head is. And I think everyone delivered tonight. I can't tell you a bad segment. Proud of Danny Garcia. Intrigued by MJF. Loved Swerve's personality tonight. Mariah May, I'm very intrigued to see what she chooses, where she's going.
She's okay. Still rolled to me, damn it.
And one thing I want to hype up for Collision this upcoming Saturday. It'll be the first time on AEW TV in AEW history we're getting 3 women's matches in one night.
On Collision? Sweet. Yeah. Finally, Tony.
I'm all for it. So good time. And God willing, as you know, it is talking about guaranteed ratings boost if they do a suspended cage match above a Shark Tank. God, please, people.
That sounds like something. What's his name who did the exploding barbed wire matches back in Japan? It sounds like something he would do against Terry Funk.
You're right? Seriously.
Wait, no, they somebody, I don't remember who it was. They did a piranha match once in Japan.
No,
and there was a piranha like tank.
I'm good. There's a point where I got to tap out.
Oh, dude, it was god awful. It was like I think I saw it on Botchamania. It was fucking terrible.
Jesus Christ.
Hi, Matthew. It was so funny watching it on Botchamania. But yeah, I think maybe they should. Too bad we can't get like somebody in a shark cage suspended above the ring again. That would be some good. Exactly. It's like you gotta. There's nothing really there right now to do it. Toni Mina rematch on Wednesday. Put Mariah in the shark cage.
Book it, Tony. Book it.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke. But yeah, that would definitely be the way. At minimum, they should just put it on the stage.
Yeah.
Corporate synergy, ladies and gentlemen, gotta do it. Also, that means Shark Week is coming up. Yes, I love sharks. My favorite animal.
You and Dragoon.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's right. We had the top. Yeah, tangent. We had the top 5. Our top 5 favorite sharks list in the chat that one time.
Insanity.
Hot take: Shark Week is not nearly as good as it used to be. It's very corporate now.
Yeah.
I skip half of it. I just watch them on the apps. Well, at least they're on HBO Max now, so it's easier than downloading the Discovery app. The Discovery app is trash.
And yet we still don't have AEW on Max yet.
Nope. Hopefully with the new TV deal, I think that's coming up.
God willing.
I don't think we're getting I don't know if we're going to do a prediction show before Forbidden Doors. James, you got any early predictions you want to throw out there before we log off?
Swerve retains, Mercedes double champion. Zack Sabre beats Orange Cassidy. Moxley loses the title to Naito.
So far, we're in step.
Um,
Toni versus Mina.
Toni wins.
Yeah, I think Toni retains, but I don't know what's going to happen with Mariah. I think
that's another one. I think Toni, no matter what, someone's going to be a double champion in that instance.
I don't think Mina's putting a title on the line.
I could have swore she was.
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, fair enough. I know she is a champion currently.
Yes, but
all right, fair enough. But what were you saying? I interrupted you.
I was just going to say I agree with you that Toni's going to win. I think the more intriguing part of that match, besides the match itself, is it's not the outcome, but it's what Mariah is going to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What else?
Brian and Takagi.
Brian's gonna win.
Yeah, I figured as
Brian's
much.
Gonna win. Brian will make it to at least. I can see Brian going to the finals and losing to either Hangman or Jay.
Also, they haven't do we know when that wild card match is?
No, they
said
haven't
as much?
announced it yet. They have not announced it yet.
Who wins the TNT ladder match?
Jungle Boy. Because they're going to be in Chicago and they're going to want him holding a belt in Chicago.
Good call. Let's see. You have a spoiler. I think it's a Rampage spoiler.
Go for it.
So we have the trios match. It's going to be Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata against Jericho, Big Bill, and spoilers again if you don't want to hear this, Jeff Cobb.
There's history there too between Jericho and Cobb.
Yep.
And what's that going to be on Rampage, or is that going to be on?
No, that's on the pay-per-view.
According to happened with Suzuki?
I don't know. According to Wikipedia. I pulled it up on Wikipedia really fast. So.
All right. Well, we'll find out.
Although Cobb also issued an open challenge for anyone to face him for the television championship, so that could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, the Elite against the Acclaimed and Tanahashi is also on the card.
The Elite are gonna win.
I think that one's kind of up in the air. I think you're probably right, but I think it was a little more up in the air. You think? MJF versus Hechicero. I think MJF wins that.
Yeah.
And also, there is a pre-show match. It's a Statlander and Momo Watanabe against Willow Nightingale and it was Tam. I'm going to botch this. Nakano.
Yeah,
I got
Tam.
it. Yes, I got it.
Proud of you.
Who do you think's got that one?
Stat.
All right, fair enough. And yeah, that's the card so far. We'll see what happens with that Jericho match. That one seems fishy. Hopefully Suzuki. I'd rather see Suzuki fight him.
Somewhere, somehow, yeah.
Yeah. At least on Collision or Dynamite or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But all right, let's wrap things up here. So that was our show. So I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. We would appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. If you like what you saw tonight, you like the video, let's know that you like what we're doing. And if you subscribe, you can catch all of our future episodes, including a episode of the G-Pack Zone tomorrow night. If you're a TNA Impact person, we've been kind of going live for Raws or SmackDown sometimes, depending on what Matt wants to do. Especially when big things happen on one of those shows, we are going to do our best to be live for those. We are seeing what we're doing for Forbidden Door. Some of us might be going to the show. Some of us might not be. Some of us might have their grandmother's 80th birthday. So we're going to do our best to be live for that show. If not, we will try to do some sort of recap show, maybe sometimes next week. So be sure to subscribe so you can hear our thoughts on all of that stuff. If we are at Forbidden Door, we will do our best to get some stuff for social media. So if you want to check us out on any of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. If you're here on YouTube, you can check all those links out in the description below. If you are on one of our other channels or you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can check us out at Twitter That would be at marketdown_pod. Our Instagram is at marketdownpod, and our YouTube is youtube.com/marketdown3665. James, I believe we have an update you mentioned for our giveaway. I know it got delayed a little bit, but
Yes.
we are back on track to do said giveaway, and I think it involves the ace himself, Tanahashi.
We have 2 giveaways to discuss. One, a past giveaway. We will be announcing the winner of the Becky Lynch autobiography autograph tomorrow. So check, be aware, social media. I will reach out to the winner as best as I can. And for Forbidden Door, we will be giving out a Hiroshi Tanahashi autograph. So all you got to do is check out our, whatever that may be, our live coverage of or recap video of it. Comment what your favorite match of the night was, and you will be entered.
Yep, and we'll have more stuff for that on our social media stuff, or if you need any confirmation, just add us, and we'll be able to get back to you. Don't worry, there's not enough people tagging us and stuff that we won't be able to find it. So we will definitely get back to you.
More and more, though. It is getting bigger.
That is true, and I think there are certain people who are arguing with other people on our account. I won't name names, producer boy, but I think I know who most of those are. But yeah, be sure to check us out on all those platforms here and otherwise, so you can win a signed autograph picture of Hiroshi Tanahashi. Lord knows James has enough crap in his house. Look right behind him. So on that note, James, if you have anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'm tired and it is hot.
Yep. All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoys Forbidden Door on Sunday. And so for James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. If you're at Forbidden Door, let us know. Maybe we'll see you there. But until then, have a good night, everybody. And like I said, enjoy the pay-per-view.